Good evening, bobbing people. I'm just being molested by the dog, who feels that his needs are suddenly needing to be met, and that I'm an inattentive pet parent. Says the dog who's been getting hugs all day. Yes, you have. You are not deprived, young man. No, you're not. You did get told off earlier, briefly, but not much. No. Anyway, we are here to perform work on strip as per the last video. Only we have surpassed the central point at this time. And come on. That's right, he's decided he wants up on the couch. Oh, there you go. Alright. Now you're up on the couch. With any luck, that's sorted. Oh, and he's just puked on his sister. Excellent. Well aimed there, Rory. Thanks for that. Amy looks distinctly unimpressed. I know how she feels, because I've got a feeling it's halfway down my back too, but I don't feel wet, so I'm going to go with it. He does this a lot when if he eats something and he scoffs it too quickly, he will tend to puke it up, so it's not something to be alarmed about. It's just really annoying. So, let's move that over here a little bit. That'll help you and me. So, here we are. Not entirely straight by the looks of it. There we go. I haven't done any since I was last here, so you have not been missing out. Let's work down this side a little bit. I bought more sticks. Not that I'd run out of sticks, but I bought a box of sticks. So now I definitely have a metric crap ton of sticks, which is a good thing, because you can never have too many sticks. Right. And then I need 4. There you go. Right. And we will get one of the pins to restrain you lot. There you go. Hello, Rory. Don't need that yet, idiot. Right. Let's do the rest of this. Now we put the pin in. So, the question is, of course, how have you all been? How has your Saturday been? Rain and thunder outside. Boo. Mind you, rain and thunder outside is a good excuse to be inside. Although, of course, it does depend where you are. For here in the UK, it's 10 o'clock at night, so thunder and lightning outside. Yeah, whatevs. However, if it's kind of, morning straight afternoon for you, that is a bit of a bugger, because, well, obviously, impairs what you can do as part of your day. So, However, at least you can be indoors, and you're not forced to be outdoors. And dog, if you do not lie down... Miss trampling the grass. I don't know why it annoys me so much, but my little miss, I've got to go round and round 28 times on the couch before I lie down. Just gets on my nerves, because 9 times out of 10, she immediately stands up again. Yes, but little miss trampling the grass. Oh, she's got up again, which means she will be back, and then she will trample the grass some more. And inevitably, in trampling the grass, she rakes up all my cushions, and my couch has got like a base cushion and a back cushion to it. There she is, she's back on again. Upset that I've put the cushion back where it lives. Yep, we are grumpy. No, Rory, I don't wish to hug you more. No, seriously, my man. No, you're a very lovely, wonderful little boy, and I do love you from the bottom of my heart. But you are not needy. Ow! What the hell, dogs? Oh, they do this. They've taken into doing this is the moment... Ow, do you mind not standing on that? When I'm streaming, to demanding that they are deprived. And so I've got Amy in one arm, Rory in the other, and none left to make lace with. I do love you both. I do. I do properly love you. For I picked you. Yeah, but it's kind of friggin' annoying. And I try not to be mean and horrible to them. But it is just I've been up, I don't know, 14 hours now. Why is now the perfect time for a mass puppy mugging? Little puppies. Not that they're little puppies anymore. They could be 5 soon. Can't believe you're going to be 5. You act like you're about 6 months old. I.e., not very well trained. No, Rory, enough. Enough. No, pause off. You can't see this. Hang on. No, don't puke on things. I was going to show you, but perhaps not. No, don't. Yeah, I know you spat it all over my... Whatever it was, you probably shouldn't have eaten it then. Comes to mind. I mean, call me a little bit logical, but if it's not sitting right, the next time don't demand some, you know? So, I'm beginning to feel a slight need to add a few more pins, because the pin distance is getting a little low. So I'm going to do that. Now she's back. Just not, dog. Let's not. So yes. So I had an interesting comment on my YouTube videos asking about how to make a curved piece of lace. Now, to make a that way curved piece of lace, you know, so horizontally kind of snake kind of, yeah, that's going to haunt me forever, that is. Fuck's sake, dog, she just scuffed up all the pillows and got off. Is easy, because you just kind of make it in a slithery shape, really. You know, are you coming up or not, Rory? Come on. You can come up if you want. Try not puking on me cloths, though. Or me, or half the couch. Ew. There. Come on. Come on. No, sod off then. Right. But, obviously, one of the key issues of lace making is that I am doing this on a round object. But the resulting lace will be flat. And it won't even be prone to curling. So, with that in mind, how would you do it? And the short answer is, you would soak it in starch, and then or spray it with spray starch, and stick it on a round object and set it that way. But of course, if you ever washed it, you know, like curlers in people's hair, washing it would reset it back to normal. Realistically, it is kind of slightly strange that when you make lace on a pillow, be it a bolster pillow, be it a flat pillow, or a little roller pillow like this, why is it that you don't end up with a rounded piece of lace? Because it would seem quite logical that you should. And I guess it's a bit like the curvature of the Earth, in that there is a curve, but in the form of, you know, when you take your end piece off, it is, because you've made it in a way, you know, in a kind of, this bit's fairly flat, even though I'm keeping it pinned down, the truth of the matter is because it's so thin, the top is not longer than the bottom, therefore it doesn't naturally curl. And so, obviously, I end up with flat lace. But it was an interesting question. One I had not overly considered. Sorry, I twisted the wrong pair of 3 to make this spiner. So yes, it was an interesting comment I got. And one I had to think about before I could answer. Well, I've never wanted to make curved lace. I mean, all the things I want are flat. So, I had not given it any real thought. And that's not right somehow. I got that wrong. I used one of the wrong ones there. Easily done at this point. For those are the last two, and those are the 6 before. So let's... There we go. That'll be the right ones. But one of the things I was grateful for was the fact that they felt they could ask. One of the things that I am very aware of is people come in here and people leave. And obviously you're not bound to stay. No one's forcing you. But I'm always curious as to why people leave. Is it because they don't understand? Is it because I'm not sitting here yapping away, explaining what I'm doing all the time? But to be honest, to an extent, it is remarkably samey. If you were to listen to this and say not be watching, you get really bored of listening to my rather grating voice. So, you know, is it a good or a bad thing then that I'm not yapping away? Well, I do yap away, but usually about complete and utter rubbish. I think we have some pins to poke. Like that. And just because we're doing it, might as well poke those down. What is wrong with you and these cushions, dog? Fine, I'll take it away. She gets upset when I take the cushion away, but all she does is scrape it out of the way. Well, go lie down. Amy. Come on, lie down. Ooh, someone's sin collar has made a bid for freedom. Yeah, now she's mad because I've taken the cushion away. Let's make some of you longer. Because, well, now feels like a really good time to be doing that. Yep, now she's going to go and sit somewhere else because I've taken her ability to scuff the couch up quite as much away. I wouldn't mind, but she's basically wrecked my cushions. They are cushion covers I made with my own fair paw out of weaving that I did. And because she scratched them, I mean, they desperately need a wash, but they've got tons of little, let me show you the edge, tons of sticky out bits because she's pulled threads in it. And now she's back and sulking because she really wants to lie on the couch, but now her cushion of scratching is not in remit. So it's Easter Sunday tomorrow, and I was very pleased that the nice Tesco people, who are a little like Walmart, but, well, not like Walmart. We don't have people of Tesco for starters. I mean, you can find some weirdos in Tesco's. You know, it's not John Lewis, but it's... or M&S, but, you know, it's not a proper budget. It's a mid-range kind of food hall type thing. or primarily food hall. They do sell some other things sometimes. Yep, she's gone for the chair. She can scratch the blanket out of the chair then. So we've done twists, we can now do... That's not right. That's an odd number there. I've included you to move when you shouldn't have. There you go. And you need to be over there. There, that's better. Why are you still honking it up, dog? Usually once you've honked a couple of times, it's over. Hello, welcome. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the my personal insanity. Hello. It's Saturday night. It's 10:30. And we have not long been going. We're doing all right. We're doing all right. What do you think of my little strip that I'm making? Well, it's not particularly little, but dog's honking up in the background. I apologise for that. Well, I know what he's eaten, but it shouldn't be having that effect on him. It won't kill him, don't worry. At least he's not puking on me. Or his sister, who equally didn't appreciate it. Rory! You come stay in here, little man. You'll be alright, so we can keep an eye on you. Yes. We just need to keep an eye on you, make sure you're alright. It is. This is my own fair design. It is designed for an experiment. Normally, down the edge here, where there's a hard line, there would be a straight line. And this has benefits and problems, as I'm sure you can imagine. But these strips, I'm going to be making multiple strips, not necessarily all looking the same. But I'm going to be making strips to try and do invisible joins between them so that I can make a big item that doesn't have hard lines in, because obviously the squares I've been making have a straight edge. And, well, it means when I put them together, there'll be two straight edges together, obviously 4 in a corner, and, well, it's going to look a lot like squares joined together. Now, I have no problem with this, arguably. But if I can make one that looks like I did it all in one piece, but I didn't do it in one piece because my marbles will not take that. You may notice in the top right hand corner a big pile of bobbins. There are quite a few bobbins in that pile. Obviously quite a few more on the pillow in the main blue bit where I'm doing my work. I say main blue bit, it's just a cloth wrapped over the blue bit. But there are 21, 24, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 20, 28 pairs of bobbins sitting in that corner. So you kind of get my point, right? There's an awful lot lurking in that corner. And Dobbs, I know, Rory, you love me, but can you stop licking my hands? It's not going to do you any good if you feel sick, my man. Well, exactly. Now, this is making a strip that is 3 inches wide. For scale, there's a hand, right? It's only 3 inches wide. If you wanted to make a whole neck curtain, the words fuck and off can be arranged into a sentence of your choice. And usually off goes afterwards. No is the short answer. My sanity would not take it. And so here we are. Knowing that my sanity would not survive, I'm trying to work out why it is that you look wrong. I see desperate need to do change here. It's because the pin's the wrong side. There you go. Like that. That's better. But just, you know, if it takes nearly 100 bobbins to make a 3-inch wide bit of strip, you know, it doesn't take too much to guess that 1,000 bobbins kind of thing will be needed for a 30-inch wide. And if I'm already having problems with less than 100, then, well, frankly, no, I am not making it in one piece. I have the ability. I've got a nearly metre wide bolster cushion that I could make it on, but my sanity just wouldn't take it. So, the idea being, if I can make strips, and, you know, maybe even push the boundaries of happiness for what I can do as a mental exercise and how many bobbins I can handle. So let's say I managed to make 6-inch wide strips and have a couple of 100 bobbins floating around on sticks and, you know, watch my sanity sail off into the distance. But still only a 6-inch wide bit of lace. That's, you know, we're not talking. I mean, you'd need more than that really for a scarf. I mean, it's just, it just kind of, it's just not ideal, you know? It's just kind of, I feel that making strips is kind of where I need to be. Now, it is how they used to make bigger projects back in the early days of lace making. So it is not cheating. A lady would have a job. Her sole profession was that she would have perfected the art of joining them together. Unfortunately, there is not a lot of information on the internet about performing this. And in fact, pretty much, it only seems to be, you know, the phrase, there are a couple of places which tell you the name of it, because it has a name. There is one page, and literally it is one, that suggests that this may be how they did it. And then there is a lady on YouTube who slightly, as he throws up again, winds me up just because she makes lace making videos. Well, she makes videos about lace making, but she doesn't really make lace making videos. So she will bang on about how she went to some out, I'm going to exaggerate slightly because, she annoys me. So she kind of bangs on about how she stayed a week with some outer Mongolian, Buddhist tribe in a monastery up a mountain. And that they taught her this magical way. And that's it. That is as much as she tells you. And I kind of thought we got over gatekeeping stuff that is not your own invention. It would be nice for the rest of the universe who maybe do not get the same opportunity, because I need to point out she didn't pay for it herself. It came out of a budget of many thousands for a grant she won to award her the ability to go floating around Europe for a long time learning lace. Now, I don't... You possibly do. And I shouldn't hold it against her, but, there are not many people in this world who are going to get... And to be honest, there is the bitter, twisted part of me, and I'm not going to pretend that, I'm a perfect human being and that, my thoughts are reasonable, because perhaps they're really, really not. But what made her so special to get this grant? Could any of us have applied for it? How come it was not a publicised thing if it was up for grabs? What made her any better to give it to than the rest, right? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't need you. That's right. It's all right. The ads will come. Come on, Rory. That's a good boy. Come on. Come on. There you go. Thank you. Go and have a drink of water. Little man, go have a drink of water. You should be back there. Hopefully. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything too exciting. Twitch ads always do seem to know when to kick in, though. But yes, I do feel somewhat irked because there is a bit of me that says, well, how was she picked? How was she picked for this grant? How, could the rest of us have had in on it? If we could have had in on it, how come, it wasn't exactly, publicised as available for applying for, As I say, I am very aware that it is potentially my own bitterness rather than she deserves being hated on. But I also am aware I'm not the only one. So, but, so she's gone somewhere, she's, done something, and they've, she's been able to learn this particular technique that I'm interested in. But she's not sharing. And that kind of annoys me, is that it's not like they invented it. The lady who taught it didn't invent it, because it was a couple of 100 years ago, so she certainly didn't invent it. She may have rediscovered it. But then, this is why things die out. If you're going to have anything, and you refuse to share it, especially in the age of the internet, this is why it dies out. This is why people lose abilities to do things. I mean, for most crafters, we look at the rest of the world and see people who, the average person now can't sew on a button. The average person now cannot join two pieces of fabric together. They just don't know where to start. And I found this a lot when I did karate, in that when you got your karate gi, and you bought it through the company who kind of were, I'll say guild for want of a better word, but the guild of karate people that we were with, if you bought it through them, you got their guild badge to put on it. And before you went to grading, it was kind of deemed essential that you'd sewed your badge on. Now we are talking a 3-inch patch to stick on your gi. Perfectly cylindrical, nothing exciting. It's not like you were given a template and had to hand, embroider the thing on there. No, you just had to attach it somehow. Now, some people took a bit of initiative, glued it. And to be honest, gluing it works well enough. I mean, it can go a bit funny because of all the sweat and the washing, but, it can work. But the number of people who did not have the faintest idea how to sew... That's right, I need to push down the back of my table slightly because it's slightly tilted, and hence they're rolling a lot more than they should. But they didn't have the faintest clue. They couldn't even poke up, put down, poke up, put down. That was beyond them. They just didn't have a clue. And I kind of looked at them like they grew a head, because it's kind of like, it's not like we're asking you to do an invisible seam on your gi here. We are, kind of just saying attach A to B in some... I mean, it could even have been done in bright blue. No one said it even had to be a decent colour. The badges were primarily white and black, but, if you'd done it in blue, yeah, whatever, at least it's on there. They weren't going to mark you down because you used a funky colour. But they couldn't. Not, I had 20 kids come to a class that I ran. I didn't run classes for very long for interesting reasons, but not one of the parents had the faintest clue on how to do it. And one time the regional manager came round and he was like, "What do you mean you're..." Because, and the break time was on as he walked in. And he said to me, "What are you doing?" I said, "Sewing a badge on a gi." "You can't be doing that." "Well, they can't do it." "Yeah, but then they'll expect other people to do it." I said, "No. I have very much explained to them that this is their friend Liz, and Liz is sewing on the patch on their gi. It is not Sensei Liz, it is Liz. Liz, the human being, has said she will help you sew your patch on your gi. He lost because, you know, everyone stood up for me. But it was kind of... It was his own making, to be honest. He went to a very poor area where people really couldn't afford this. And the karate lessons were cheaper than babysitting. So he got all the wrong kinds of people agreeing to it, because, well, it's kids out the house for an hour and a half. Because it was an hour and a half when I was doing it. They then dropped it down to an hour, but of course for the same money. But it was just one of those things, is that it was kind of upsetting that, you know, he'd gone to areas where, frankly, you know, most of them couldn't afford to do karate lessons, but the way people came knocking on the door, they almost didn't leave until you had, till you'd agreed and paid up. So they'd paid up, you know, out of money they didn't really have. And then to grade, because little Johnny had gotten into karate, you know, he wanted to grade with his friends. So peer pressure meant that they then had to buy a gi and pay for his grading. And, you know, it really was stuff they couldn't afford. And they always made out about how it was saving them so much money because, you know, normally the joining fee is like 150 quid. But for you and this day only, it's like, you know, £35 or something. So they'd pay up. Yeah, little did they know that was what it always cost. It wasn't a sale on or anything. That was the normal price. So they were kind of pressured into it on the doorstep, because these guys were not going to go away until they got money out of them for something. And so they'd signed up. They almost, you know, the kids probably didn't really want to be there. Because, as we all know, yes, you might see some martial art video and go, yeah, I could do that. But as we all know, as adults, not for a long time you won't. You are not going to go home doing backflips and, you know, lethal punch. Well, you can probably do a lethal punch after your first class, but we won't have taught it to you, you know. So yeah, it was something that I struggled with a lot, was the promotional tactics used. And then there were other rules that were very much to be obeyed, and it's not that I disagreed with them. But for example, it was very common amongst the teachers at Christmas to take a tin of sweets in. But you're not allowed to eat in the hall where you're doing karate. It's deemed disrespectful. Well, of course, once the class is over, if your friend Liz happens to have some sweets she wants to share, and, you know, what's the problem, right? And so... yeah... Because it was funny how it only applied to me. Everyone else was allowed to. But it wasn't... I was called out as an example as to how, well, you know, of course... This is poor behaviour, and it's like, well, hang on, I'm doing what every person has done every single person in the instructor room has done. Don't be acting like this is new, you know. Heck, even at Christmas, the Christmas they used to hold like a mass event thing for all the localish classes to get together and do things. There was food arranged by him. Yeah, it was kind of like, you hypocrite. keep out the way. I still can't help but look at these edges and go, I'm a snake. I have found the original video of I'm a snake. But I'm slightly more puzzled because I know the words and knew the whole kind of emphasis and everything, because it's got to be done as a I'm a snake. It's got to be done a bit pathetic, right? But I don't know where I heard it because I'd not seen the video. I assume it's been used much like I'm using it 1,000 times for other things. But yeah, I'm a snake. Thank you, Instant Distractions. Thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying it. And my terrible, I'm a snake. So I'm just looking. If you sit at just the right angle and you look across the threads, like these are here, coming across like this, they block out the dots and makes it look like there's holes and that you've got problems ahead. But if you move around, you can see there's a dot the other side. No, I'm quite happy with how it's turning out. I am quite happy with how it's gone. Time for a slip of drink, I think. So, the dog seems to have stopped puking, which is a good thing. Because it is, rather an off-putting noise. Especially when it's of his own devisings. So let's move you up one. That's okay. Please assure your wife it is not complicated. Getting it right, it's a bit like snooker. In snooker, you go, I have a ball here, I want it to go over there, so I need to catch it at this angle to make it. We all know the theory. Achieving it is a little harder. In lace making, it is most certainly technically not difficult. There are 2 moves in lace making, and only 2. Everything is made of 2 movements. One is called cross, where you take the left one and place it over the right one. The other one is twist, where you take a right one and place it over a left one. I'm going to do it twice. this constitutes this stitch. You then, in this particular case, put a pin in and repeat the move. It's called covering the pin. So I cross and twist, and then I am done. And that's it. You cross and twist a number of times in a number of combinations to make the things that you see. And the pattern is on the piece of paper, so you don't have to count how many of them you've done and which bits you should have. I mean, you have to do some counting, but realistically, you do the bits, you do the thing, it kind of all works out. And unlike knitting and crochet, where tension can be an issue, tension is an issue because you can leave gaps on. You can leave little loops, which I've got one back there because the thread caught on a pin. But you just kind of give them a tweak. And you're kind of done, really. So it is just a combination of crosses and twists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the reason I'm counting 7 pairs of bobbins is because my stick holds 7 pairs of bobbins. So I wanted to check that I had a good number of bobbins to stick on my stick and sticking out the way, because then it makes more room. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's take you and put you on a stick. Like that. So now we're going to work with you and some friends that I have pinned back over here. Now, somewhere back here is a bobbin thing trying to fall off. There are a lot of videos on YouTube on how to make bobbin lace, and there are a number of styles, but this particular one is called torsion and is generally advised for beginners. Personally, I don't find the others more complicated. If anything, some of them are simpler. However, this has some added bonuses. So there is 2 kinds. I'm going to mispronounce it because it's French, and well, I'm dyslexic, so English was bad enough, let alone trying to make me learn French. But Binch, Banch, Branch, whatever you want to call it, and Buck's Point, which is a British version of basically the same thing. When the little ground cloth that I'm making here, which is this mesh, is stretchy, and so for certain eventualities you would argue that stretchy could be bad. So for example, obviously in normally you'll catch me making squares stroke triangles for a net curtain. There are obviously 4 triangles in a square, so I make a triangle at a time because, well, that's how it works. And because you work round the 4 quarters of the square. Anyway, this doesn't stretch. In part, if I go back a section, right, if I mark these bobbins for you, and I appreciate that they're slightly off screen, so let me put something on fairly high up. Let me put this on like this and roll it up so it's nearer the top. There's one. And where's the other one? Right. So let's put these on here like this. So these are my working 2 pairs. The pair on the right has the little hats on. This one doesn't. This stitch that I'm doing before the pin, one on each side, And then when I do it again, now you see that these are on the left, these are on the right. As a result, in the diagonal, there's no stretch because all of the bobbins have moved and create a straight network of, like Roman roads. In terms of Bucks Point and Binch, as I tend to call it, you kind of only do the first half. You do a few more twists with the pairs on either side, but you do the first half. So not all of the pairs don't stay together, but it also means that it's a bit more fragile, but it gives it a stretch. Now, obviously, if you're making something to go on the edge of clothing, if you're making something that's going to need to move with the human soul, then, well, some movement is a good thing. So for that point of view, it's a great idea. But in terms of, say, a net curtain, you don't really want the weight of the net curtain stretching it and making it look really crappy. So, hence the choice. I have gone with a lace type that doesn't stretch because, well, I don't really want it to stretch because stretching would look pretty crappy. Right, let's go back to stealing pins from the back again. So while I might not be the greatest teacher of all time, I can definitely recommend that this is not something if you don't have patience. Hello, I have zero patience. I have, however, got an insane amount of stubbornness. This is not to be believed to be patience, for I am not patient. The words out of my mouth, when things go wrong, definitely express that I do not have patience. However, stubbornness, we Kimbers are born to be stubborn. Unfortunately, I'm kind of the last of the Kimber side of the family, but we Kimbers are born to be stubborn. So, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll keep you for a minute, and we will stick you together. And wonder why we've got 1 here, which implies one of you is short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Nope. And it ain't one of you. So you can go over there. And now we steal. Might be you. You look like you're short. Blimey. That was Rory. Kiddies, it's 11 o'clock. We don't bark a lot outside. Rory. Good boy, you barked at it. That's enough. Good boy. It's all right, little man. It's a good boy. You protected the world. You did. Amy, don't wind him up. She does do it. I've seen her look at a spot on the couch, go, but I wanted that spot. She then does the, oh my God, burglars, runs outside, bark, 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 gets the cavalry to go up behind her, and then, oh, actually I've changed my mind, runs indoors and this steals the spot. It's all right, Rory. It's all right. It's all right, puppy pups. It's a bit long now. Right. We've lengthened you. So now we can go back here. And come through here like this. Right, because there's spots. I do this and give you a bit of a closer up. You will see spots. And everywhere there's a spot, you stick a spin. So there's a spot in the middle of where all of these join together. And there's spots all the way down the edge. And these tell me where I'm shoving my pins. The next question is, how do you know which spots you can stick pins in? Well, for every spot that there is, let me get my magic pins back. Hang on. For I have coloured pins. You have rows of pins, right? Like this. Okay. And for the next row, which I'm going to do in pink, because I see 3 pink ones, because there are 2 pins here, I can do the immediate spot below it. So I can do you, because there's an immediate spot below it, and I can do you, because you 2 feed this. I cannot do the one over here, because there's no other parent yet for it. For the next row, I can do this one and this one. And finally, I can do this one. So I can make a row, and then because those 2 feed into that one, and then those 2 feed into that one, and those 2 feed into that one. So I can work anywhere there is a peak in my pins. There are likely pins either side, and realistically the first obvious place to work when you return to your lace making is where the highest point. Now occasionally you can, because it would make a diagonal by default, you can work down. And you'll have noticed that when I started, I had more of this kind of angle. Now it's more level. But there are still places where you can work out which ones you can and can't do. And then for each one you do, you potentially open up more you can do. And it's kind of a cascade effect, really, as to which bits you can do next and which bits you can't. So here, I can go back and I can do this pinhole, because it has 2 parents. I can do this pinhole, because it's got 2 parents. But for example, I can't do this one here, because it's only got 1 parent, until I've done that parent. So, you know, like a lot of things, there are choices, but it's very minimal. Now, you see, I wasn't sure if I can steal this one, for example, out of here. And now I can do the last row of here, which takes me down one side of this motify bit here in the middle. Right, I need you to stay over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You'll be a spare then. You can go back on the stick, like this. That goes over. Thank you. Thank you for following. As I say, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask. I do not pretend to be the god of all knowledge, but I can tell you what I'm doing. So, itch. It's getting a little crowded, but we're all right. We're all right. It's still good. Now, flappy thing scared the crap out of me. That's right, my back's gone into a bit of a spasm. I need to sit gently and let it kind of chill out slightly. So let's tie you out of the way for a minute. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put you back on a stick. Put you over there to make a bit more space. I need 3 of you. One of you. Tuck you out the way a bit more. not a lot. There you go. Well, I'm an idiot. I didn't twist them. Now let's try that again. The end is in sight, my friends. I know you can't see it, but where my finger is, that is the last row. This strip has definitely gone much faster than the triangles do. Which holds no logical conclusion other than the spiders arguably, there are less pin things to do, and I've always maintained that it is the pin thing that slows it down. But, so I mentioned earlier that normally you have a straight edge, and that I'm not making a straight edge. What normally happens, and is best described with demonstrations, so hang on a sec. Let me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's okay. You can go on a stick for now. But we owe you a bobbin. Right. Let's move these 3 out the way. We don't need them just yet. But what you might be able to see already, it's a bit small, so let me zoom in edge on this and you will see. If I go over to this edge, here, this pair is looped round a pin and it will come back in and meet here with these bobbins to form a normal stitch. I will stick a pin in it. And what this does is normally what would happen is let me do this one and I'll show you. Normally what you would do is you would then come to this spot here on the edge, so this pinhole just, which I'm covering up, that one, and you would do this and you would pin here and it would create a straight line. The reason I'm not doing that is as part of my let's hope I can manage a hidden join, is that I want to hide the edges, and so by having edges that are not straight, you can mesh them together. Now, there are a number of potential ways to mesh them together. So there is a method called lassen, which is used in Flanders, which I hate. If this was... Now, I mentioned earlier that there's about 100 bobbins to make this 3-inch piece of lace. If I was making this in Flanders, for which my little Flanders square is out of reach at the moment, or I'd go and get him. But I do know where I can find him. Hang on. Let me pull up Instagram, because he's on Instagram. Hang on. Let me go get... Come on, computer, it's not that hard. There we go. I've got just the black page. Congratulations. Fine. Facebook it is then. Right. If you're going to be like that, we can work it out. So if I scroll back quite a long way, for it was quite a way, bear with me. Most of my posts are about my triangles, so let me just scroll back. There he is. So, this is my Flanders square. Now, he doesn't look... I mean, okay, he's got little hearts in the middle, and for scale, that's really quite small. But you'll notice that the edging, the mesh around the edging is a slightly different shape. It's kind of a little square with kind of circles around it, or a circle with 4 squares around it, depending on your point of view. There is a reason for this. Everywhere a pin meets is not 2 pairs of bobbins, like in torsion. It's 4. There are double the amount of bobbins in the same amount of space. So, to give you an idea, if I pick that up by the corner, it doesn't wilt. It's not... I mean, it's not rigid, but it's strong enough to support itself. Now again, this could have uses. I mean, you don't want something too dainty if it's going to be kind of used and abused. But a net curtain kind of just dangles. As a result of just kind of dangling, it doesn't need to be able to support the weight of the human body. It does not need muscles. As a result, I find myself struggling with enjoying that kind. What also made it very difficult was where you go into the cloth stitch bit, which is the hearts. It doesn't follow the same logic that everybody else has, making tensioning it really friggin' hard. Now, I did not use lassen on this, but when you use lassen, basically you overshoot. So instead of joining at a corner like I did with this one, you would overshoot almost a quarter of the next triangle. So you'd actually do 4 1/4 triangles. And then you'd basically wrap thread round the overshoot to join them together. Well, in terms of a net curtain, this is less desirable, because you want a net curtain to be light and airy. You want a net curtain to be delicate. You do not want it to be able to kickstart the space shuttle. And as a result, I found myself struggling to enjoy it, because there were twice as many bobbins, which meant for this tiny frigging square, there were as many bobbins as there were for a big square for not really any gain. And so here I am, not using Flanders. So, now we've done you, we will join you to the edge, actually. I wasn't going to, but I've changed my mind. So... what I will do is I'll grab you before I do. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. We will stick you together. Like that. Put you round there like this. You get to go over there. Do a little bit more on this side. Thank you for that, Rory, on your educated opinion. If you don't believe that was the dog, I apologise, but it was sincerely the dog. No more Tesco's white chocolate biscuit for you, even though it was only a nibble. One, two, three, 4, 6, 7, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You get to come out there. You get to go in there. And we'll do you in a minute. One of you I borrowed one from. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, it wasn't you either. So you go in there like that. Getting a bit precarious over there. Must be you then. Right. Can we do much with what we have? The answer is no. We can't do much at all. But you are wrong. You're not twisted. Right. So, you get to scoot back over here and kind of sit out the way to a large extent. You're too long. That's better. Right. Finally, we extract you out to the other end. It's a bit long now. Typical. In case you wonder why I fiddle with some more than others, is there's a little groove here at the top called on the head, which is known as generally as the rose, and thread should be in the groove for easy manipulation. For if it leaps into its friends further down, it makes it tend to bite down and make it complicated. Well, occasionally, of course, it runs away and goes to live see its friends. As a result, I spend a while picking it out of there so that it's and putting it back where it lives. So, should I put you in there like this? You go out the way. all that happens, and the sin collar has come off, which is exactly why it's called a sin collar, for you have sinned by trying to make a break for freedom. There you go. It's not officially a lace-making term. That's a Liz term for a bobbin that has got on her nerves. So. But it's a good term nevertheless. So I just wanted to check it was twisted enough. It is. It's just annoying. away because, well, you're making me anxious. So. I'll be wanting many. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Take you back. Right, you are down the edge of this. Finish this centre edgy off like this. It's kind of funny because if you think when we started we were kind of along this line here. It definitely seems to work faster as a strip. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can go here and out the way. Time for the middle. So it's all the pairs twisted for the edge. So you can keep out the way for a minute. actually. This will make a nice picture. So, let me grab my picture for the day. Like that. There we go. You need to sit over there a second while we do the same with you lot. Sorry, Pop-Ups. Don't know what you're dreaming about, but it doesn't sound like it's a good one, so. Here we go. Little squarey thing done. It is quite surprising because obviously you have a slightly different view to me. But it is kind of weird how basically most of what we've got pins in is work we've done today. Which is kind of weird, really. Because we've only been going a couple of hours. Really, we've only done like, what is it? Inch and a half, but it's pretty good going, actually. So, we are pretty much even, actually. If you look, the only difference here is I didn't do this little section on the right hand side, but realistically they are very even. But speaking of even, coke in, coke out and all that, I need the restroom briefly, so I'm going to throw up the joyous stupid game, which sucketh. You are invited to type in words to try and answer the question. Good luck with it, basically, because I'm dyslexic and I suck.
Well, didn't we suck? I sucked at that, as always. I am very, very poor at those games. Just going to click on a couple of things. Hang on. Sorry, I am clicking away here.
Right. So, let's get back to business. The dogs have all had a shuffle. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which should mean you are also 7. So, let's just grab you. Second. So let's push a few more pins to this side. I push them down because it stops me accidentally pulling them out when grabbing for pins. You don't have to push them down. And to be honest, it wouldn't hurt if I did pull a few out, but it's nicer if I don't. Because at the end it will be all smart and tidy. I see my camera's gone for a bit of a walkabout. There we go. It does that. And I can't seem to stop it because there's nothing I can tighten to stop it twisting. Hello, Naughty Cat. Hello, my friend. How are you? How you doing? Fair enough. Hello to Mark. How you doing? How's the arm? Fair enough. Fair enough. You know, we're not 12 anymore. You don't bounce so well these days, you know. We're nearing the bottom. The bottom is here. I do like my snake. Slithery snake. funny that. I know that feeling well. I bust the knee a good few years ago now. So I was younger and a little bit more bouncy at the time. But apparently, I still went down like a sack of crap. And funny enough, didn't bounce. It was much more flop. And that was it. There was no ga-ding, 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 ga-ding afterwards. It was more crump. For on shiny laminate wood, my dog had peed on the floor. And I was naked after a bath, so I was all clean. Well, I was. Until I skidded gracefully, not, on the cold dog wee and landed with my left foot in my left armpit rather forcefully, and it is not a position my left foot is normally gracefully capable of, wedged in the doorway. And, well, I was in screaming agony, so after a while of breathing heavily and kind of going, and making various noises, I started laughing. Because the only picture I could think of, because I couldn't roll left because my leg definitely wasn't going further, and I couldn't roll right because there was a door frame. So all I could picture was that I was going to die there. I've kind of done that. I've almost face planted into that. So while it was still marginally warm, so we're not going into that story, but I was a lot younger when that happened. But so I'm lying there in the door frame, in a puddle of cold dog pee, stark naked, wedged and laughing my head off like nothing else. In fact, the only other time I've laughed that much was when I lost my marbles on stream trying to do that little tiny square. And it was the laughter of a man who realises the end is coming, marbles have been lost, and this is how they're going to find me. Probably half eaten by the dogs, because obviously it would be a few days before anyone noticed. And if I was getting cold, well, and I just couldn't help but laugh. And so, but I am obviously here to say that I did eventually manage, with the, I would say, help of the dog wee, but that's not really the right words for it. With some pain, effort, swearing, and everything that I had, I did manage to get out of the door frame. To call a friend to take me to A&E, because I wouldn't like to call it lubrication, but it obviously was good enough to slip in, so it did add to the issue, at least. And so I put some clothes on after. I didn't wash again because I couldn't. I was in screaming agony. And I got a friend to take me to A&E. Because, of course, it was clutch foot. Clutch foot, not good. Funnily enough, when I did similar but not the same to accelerator and brake, that's not so bad because you just can wiggle your ankle. Clutch foot, you can't. You just can't. Not when you've really knackered your knee. And I had to have surgery on it. So, it was a very unpleasant moment. But once confirmed that I'd done the same to that knee as I had to the previous knee, I booked time with the previous knee surgeon, and kind of, yeah. It was the lack of bounce. If I had bounced a bit more, it wouldn't have been so bad. But I did not bounce. I very much hit the ground like a very large boulder. In fact, a large boulder probably would have bounced more than me. It was not fun. Actually, I'm going to steal you back for a second. Now, that looks wonky. Because it is. Because I'm missing a row. There are not. You are not part of the deal. You are not part of that row. I need to take you out the way because you just upset everybody. There, that's better. That looks better. You do that. I'd love to hear some of the noises you put together. You'll have to share some. If Mark is willing to share, of course, as he is helping. course. Well, I expect I'll be around for an hour or so. So, at least, depending on how awake I feel.
Sounds like a good plan.
Marie, come up this side. You were all comfy. Oh, come on then. Come on. Come on. Oh. Yes, you sit on your sister. That'll make everything right, won't it? Take care, Nautical and Mark. Have fun. Let's try and work out what happens here, because it's kind of gone a bit wonky. There we go. sorry, couldn't get to mute button. Itchy ear, hang on. There we go.
doing desperately close to the end. But I'm not exactly sure it's a today end. I mean, we're kind of like an inch from the end. And we've done like this much. So in 3 hours we've done this much. Adding an extra inch I think would push it a bit late for me. But I am really pleased with how well I've done. Definitely pleased with how well I've done. Problem is it sounds really stupid, but I'm really close to the end. And when I say it's only a couple of hours, because it is only a couple of hours, but in a couple of hours, it'll be 3:15 in the morning here. And it is, and to be honest, I'm not sure how many of you are out there. And so it is hard. It is hard to feel play through the burn, as the phrase goes. What I can do is move you over there. You've got your 3. 1, 2, 3. We can do you. Stop hiding around pins. It's hard to understand. See, look, even you can see that there's the end now. You can see my problem, right? But I think this is going to be an Easter Sunday finish. I'm going to reserve this for tomorrow. I am tired. I have dogs who have fallen asleep and need huggies. So, put a big weighty cloth over the top. Yes, I'm aware there's a big mark on it. But I shall decline to continue. I apologise to anyone who's watching and who was just getting into it, or maybe had just arrived. It is the way of life around here. It always seems to be that the moment I go to leave, people appear out the woodwork. So I don't know who's out there. See if anybody's out there. No one I know is streaming at the moment, particularly. So, I'm going to let you find your own way to alternative viewings, should you need. Or, like me, maybe you're going to go to sleep. But I wish you good times. I shall see you tomorrow at a much more early time, so probably in about 12-ish plus hours time. Wonder what time I'm going to cook my Easter dinner. But maybe, around about 12 hours sounds quite likely. Failing that, 18 hours when I've had my Easter dinner. I'm not going to commit because it will depend how hungry I am when I wake up, to be honest. And Easter dinner, much like Christmas dinner, is a thing to behold. And it depends if it tugs at my heartstrings greatly. But I hope you have a good time. I hope that you sleep well tonight. And I hope you will join me again tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.